So the other day I checked my email and completely forgot that I signed up for the early access review code for Guilty Gear Strive, the newest game from Arc System Works, and lo and behold, I was actually approved. So I want to say thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed here to the channel, because it's only because of you guys that we have a big enough audience to have made this happen. Now, let's not beat around the bush. This game fucking rules, dude. It occupies a specific niche, so while it might not satisfy everyone, it hit me directly in the chest and never relented. It's at once a fighting game and a love letter to heavy metal, presenting a diversified roster of individual characters that both embody and personify specific subcultured archetypes. During my review window, I focused mainly on Eno, a rock and roll guitar witch who strikes me as the embodiment of that bitch energy, glorifying the days of Joan Jett and the first wave of American heavy metal. Put simply, the world created by Arc System Works is a perfect blend of counterculture homages while also existing as a world-class fighting game experience, inhabited by unique and storied characters that are emerging on the cusp of mainstream exposure. So, I'm the Dr. Blue, and this is why Guilty Gear Strive is so damn good. Okay, full disclosure, while I have played other Guilty Gear games in the past, Strive is truly my first real Guilty Gear experience. I went in with an open mind, so everything you're hearing comes directly from my own personal experience, and aren't the hollow praises of a Big Brother sponsor. Speaking of, it's hard out here, so subscribe to the channel and like the video. Let's begin. Let's first dissect the gameplay. You see, of course, if you're watching this video, you're likely inside of YouTube's fighting game algorithm to begin with, so I don't need to sell you on how great this game looks. And no, this review won't be all positives. I have a separate and very vocal complaint reserved for later in the video, but when this game gets so much right, it's gonna be hard to feel bad about heaping the praise. Perhaps the biggest compliment I can give the gameplay is that it offers a player a wildly different experience depending on which character is chosen, where Eno will shine in the movement and rushdown department, Axel will thrive in the zoning department. A player that mains Chip will likely develop their game plan around mix-ups and speed, while characters like Potemkin will rely heavily on a slower strategies with explosive power. Although each character likes to follow their own game plan, the shared mechanics of Strive is where the fighting game enthusiasts will find the most room for exploration. In the previous two open beta tests, players were allowed to experience the reinvented Roman cancel mechanics, and it's safe to say that we've barely scratched the surface on the level of originality and freedom they provide to the Guilty Gear series, where Roman canceling a move on impact will allow for a follow-up combo extension circa DBFC's sparking mechanic. The same button delayed slightly will give players the freedom to cancel out of their attack animations for tricky setups and unique rushdown applications. You see what I'm saying here is where the players will find freedom to explore the character with increased depth thanks to the RC system. They'll also find a plethora of other mechanics that spice up the game into one that requires intense moment-to-moment decision-making. From the burst mechanic that allows players to either break combos or risk popping prematurely on their opponent for an early meter lead, to the meter management mind game itself, Guilty Gear Strive has reinvented what made the series so beloved in the past and brought it into a modern era. And look, while some might prefer the old ways, and surely there will be longtime Guilty Gear fans that decry these revolutions as blasphemy, as an unburdened introductee into the series, I can appreciate everything the devs did to make this an experience unique onto itself. While this barely scratches the surface and glosses over even more nuances that give Strive that unique polish, I'd gladly summarize the gameplay as addictive. I could spend hours in the lab, having just as much fun as in match. I can't wait to see what we discover going forward into the game's lifespan. And here, as for the balance changes, I wanted to be clear that the review code provided to me by ArcSys is based on the Open Beta Test 2 build of the game. When it launches this week for pre-orders and early access, there will be a Day 1 balance patch that shifts up the individual characters and movement options tremendously. This will be one of Arc System Works' biggest releases to date, so I want to take a moment to remind you that they do listen to player feedback. Follow Guilty Gear and ArcSys on Twitter. I'll link those in the description down below. And if you want to stay up to date with me as I discover this game, follow me at the Dr. Blue as well. So now, let's talk about things I didn't like so much. Of course, the lobby system is just a rotten take on behalf of the team. While I personally find it charming in its 16-bit aesthetic, I think matchmaking and ranking systems are still a bit wonky. Luckily, ArcSys is combating this by allowing players to set up their own homes within the game to host parties of 8 players or more. more. This is great news for tournament organizers and for casuals looking just to run a ring with their friends. Additionally, while I love training mode, and by the way, there is an online training mode that I tremendously appreciate, I do have a massive gripe with it. It's hard to believe that we still don't have frame data for each character. Knowing how much advantage or disadvantage a move has can make or break the public's opinion of that character, and having that information readily available can be incredibly helpful when labbing matchups. I'm hoping that this is one of the first things ArcSys adds to the game, and if you're watching this after they've inevitably added it as a feature, understand that nobody is celebrating more than I am. Speaking of training, ArcSys went over the top. While training mode itself is a standard affair, I have to dump huge praise for the mission mode developed by the devs this time around. Mission mode is a truly fantastic way to understand and master the character's specific and other high-level shared mechanics of Guilty Gear Strive. One of my favorite features is where the game will show you how a specific interaction is supposed to appear when requested. This is especially helpful for someone like myself who was a small brain, no good visual learner, who also likes learning at my own slower pace. I was able to clear the more challenging mechanics in mere minutes, and I applaud the devs on this approach, and I think it should be the new standard in fighting games going forward. Finally, speaking of new standards, this game has hands down the best netcode out of any fighting game I've ever played. I like to hit up my dude Glopku and Ian Renegon for matches, but sadly, they live in Portugal, which is literally an ocean away. In Dragon Ball and other delay-based games, this is a real slog that can make content creators like us wince at the lag spikes mid-combo. Yet in Strive, this bad boy netcode literally felt like we were in the same room, except for maybe perhaps a handful of times. And at least this time around, when Glob beat me 15-0 and Renegan took a near 30 games off your boy, I couldn't blame it on the lag. Time to hit mission mode and get good. Look, all in all, this game is cool as hell, my dudes. If you're not a fighting game fan, it might not be your cup of tea. But for those that love the process and the community, this is a must-buy. Additionally, if you're like me and were raised right on heavy metal, you'll love all the references Guilty Gear has to offer. From the lobbies being named after classic rock tunes, to the allusions to famous musicians and bands and the roster signature moves, this game should bring a smile to your face. When ArcSys was going for the next revolution in fighting games, I say they hit the nail on the head. It's the first true next-gen fighting game experience and a top contender in my book for Game of the Year. I ask you dudes simply just to be patient as the community discovers what this game has to offer, how it is different from its predecessors, and just enjoy it for what it is, a real kick-ass time. So as for now, I'm going to give Guilty Gear Strive a solid 9 out of 10, with the realization that no fighting game is ever really finished. But years from now, when the meta has developed, it stands a solid chance to be considered one of the GOATs, a must-buy for the FGC, and a must-consider for fans of gaming in general. So, I'm the Dr. Blue, and you are incredible. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to throw hands with your boy, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.